My name is Paul Zajac.
And I'm Rob Egan.
Welcome to Boss Battles.
This is where we take D&D live play and smash it together with sports commentary.
Kind of. So tonight is our episode called The Score, and we're scoring our second battle in our league play, a Glasstaff empty. And it was Team Motosurf up against Glasstaff and his, was it the Red Brands?
The red brands, yeah.
Okay.
I always say red cloaks, but
Red
it's
cloaks?
red brands.
The brands. Maybe they got cloaks and brands. I don't know.
Yep.
Okay, so briefly, just to review the criteria that we're scoring. So there's 5 objective criteria and 5 subjective criteria. Rob, why don't you do the subjective ones?
Yeah, so for subjective, first off, we have role play. Did the players really just feel like they were playing a game of D&D and act in a way that we would all want at the table in terms of role playing? The second is originality. This is taking pieces of what they find around them and incorporating it into the battle. We then come to teamwork. How well do they work together? Do they lift each other up? Do they pass the ball, the metaphorical ball, and really highlight each other's play styles? Next, we have courtesy. This goes along the lines of teamwork, but this is also just, are they treating each other well and respecting each other?
And are they ready for their turns? That's something I love.
Yes, thank you. And are they ready for their turns? Are they holding things up, or are they prepared and ready to go? And finally, fun. Was it a fun match to watch? Were they having fun? Is this something that we enjoyed reviewing? So that's the 5 criteria for our subjective.
Right. And the 5 objective criteria, the first one is, did they complete the objective? Mm-hmm. And that's pretty kind of binary, yes or no. The second is like, how many rounds did they take? And we put a gradient on it with 1 or 2 rounds, scores of 5, and then it decreases after that. The third criteria is the party's damage as a ratio to the total damage done in the adventure. The fourth objective criteria is the party's hit percentage. Mm-hmm. And then the final criteria is the percentage of time that the opponents failed their save. So a measure of how well they're casting spells other than attack roll spells.
Right.
Or stuff now like grappling, since grappling is a saving throw.
Yeah. Right. Anytime they have to do a saving throw. Yeah. And this helps balance are they attacking, are they not attacking, are they doing something else that affects?
So again, the scores are from 1 to 5. You can't get a 0. Right. And we're saying 3 is good. Like 3 is like what I would sit down and score if I was just having fun as a normal game. And so 5 would be like really exceptional. I'm not expecting to see too many 5s. And then 1 would be poor. Probably won't see too many of those either. Except for some of the objective criteria because of the rounds thing. Yeah.
The objective criteria can hit lower, but
okay. So let's go ahead and just talk about how the team scored. You want to go ahead and do the subjective scores?
The way that we also take the scoring is Paul and I will do the scores, and then we also get scores from all the teams. We will then take the highest and lowest scores from each of the teams and then subjective criteria, remove them to balance it out, and then average the rest. Yeah. So for the role play, they scored a 3.83 out of 5, which again, above average and doing really good. Yeah. I think that the team was really, really great in kind of getting into the role play and really kind of understanding who they're going after. And it wasn't just a go in and do a battle, but this was more. They had fun.
Yeah, and they pre-planned. They had the Team Motosurf rights based off the movie Surf Ninjas, and I haven't seen the movie, which I should, but I think there was some inside jokes there because they were cracking each other up, and so that like helped them I think have a good time. So yeah, I did like the role play.
Yeah, and then that really leads into the originality, which they scored a 3.3 on.
So the one move that comes to mind, I really liked when Jonah was like, shove the bugbear out the door. He's like, no, man, we got something going on in here. It was fun.
Like, oh no, yeah, yep, don't interrupt our party, that sort of thing. And
Right.
It was also just fun because they did come up with a lot of original things. I just loved like the way that Zathura, I think I got the Zouth, thanks. Zouth's shield was like multicolored and tie dye, and continued with that flavor. The originality I really thought was great. Next up is teamwork. They got a 3.30 on that. Again, above average. They really helped each other out and wanted to, there was a few times
they helped each other like come back from death.
Yeah.
they got like, unconscious a lot.
There were a few occasions, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about the rounds, but they kept bringing each other back up, kept on focusing their targets, and made their way through the battle. Next is courtesy. Also a 3.30, again above average.
Yeah.
For the most part, they all.
I think some of the players who've been submitting scores are like they kind of like don't like what is the courtesy thing. I think that's probably because we have like good players, right? And they all know how to play and they're ready with their turns, and that's and. We're not seeing like the painful part of D&D when people come up and go like, what is this ability now? But not no one's doing that. They all know their stuff.
They all know their stuff. Also, it's a newer system too, so even if there was a little bit of how does something work or what does this do, there's a little bit of leeway for that because we're all learning the 2024 rules.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Again, going back to South with the using the lay on hands as bonus action.
Oh right, yeah, that was right, but yeah,
but that was
a good moment, right?
That was a great moment, but that was an example of not taking points away for asking about rules. Again, courtesy is being open to the rulings of the DM.
Yeah,
being able
to.
Right,
that's true too.
Yeah, not arguing the rulings. Being a courteous player.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right. All of the folks that we have in our teams are courteous players.
Yeah.
And then the final score is fun. They scored a 3.63.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of fun to watch. I could see even when I was running it, I was having fun. They were going back and forth. There was definitely good chemistry among the players. It was a good battle.
Yes. Okay. So there's the subjective criteria, the objective criteria. Did they complete the objective? Yes, they did. They get a 5 for that. Mm-hmm. So, and then moving on to the score for rounds, like how many rounds did they take? I think they took 7. We missed a round in there. I think there was actually 8 rounds.
Yes.
So on our scale, that scores a 1. Mm-hmm. And I think the rounds thing, I think we're going to see that we're probably going to end up changing that in the next tier because. I was thinking about it. Unless you like say cast some like amazing encounter-ending spell, like that's kind of the only way you're going to, or if you have only just one monster and somehow you like manage to everybody's a paladin and they smite it in one round or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they took 8 rounds and they scored a 1. Now, so the next objective criteria is the ratio of the party's damage to all the damage done in the battle, including the party and the monsters. And for that, they scored a 2.45 because their hit percentage was, I think, just like it was like less than 50%.
They were missing a lot.
Not the hit percentage, but that's our next thing. But yeah, the monsters ended up doing, I think, more damage in total, but it was just that like the players kept on coming back. And it was a tough battle from that perspective. I don't think either of us would have anticipated that going into that battle. And it's just, I think we're going to talk about it more in the analysis program for this episode. But I think there was a couple of things that led to that really might not have been in the party's control. but these are the like stats we selected.
These are the numbers.
Yeah. So they got a 2.45 for the party damage as a ratio of total damage. Moving on to hit percentage, as I said before, their hit percentage was like less than 50%. It was like 49%. So that score is a 2.25, I think. Yeah. And then the final objective criteria was the percentage of time that the opponent fails to save, and that they only like the opponents failed to save only 33% of the time, so that scores a 1.65. So that was a really pretty low score. And when I was thinking about this, I looked back. So when there was I think a grapple or so that missed. But there wasn't a lot of spells that used saving throws, and it was just unlucky that Adam, the sorcerer, he only had I looked at a spell list. Between cantrips and level 1 spells, he had 10 total spells available, and only 2 of them required saving throws. So he didn't have a lot of options to cast things that demanded a saving throw. And the one I think was a smart play to try sleep, and it just didn't work.
Exactly. They rolled high on that one.
So they got unlucky on that one spell. And then there wasn't a lot of spell casting that required saving throws. So again, like, is this a criteria that is a valid one?
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, tell us what you think.
Like,
at the same time, that spell list, I don't think it was a problem, but it just jumped out to me afterwards. It wasn't diversified. I think basically Adam's a blaster, right? And there's a lot of attack spells and
sorcerer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and a big piece of that too is that, like you said, it's not even just the spells, but it's also things like grappling. Anytime that a enemy has to make a saving throw, that will be counted in it as well. So it's got other uses to it. I'd be interested to see how this plays out in this tier of play.
Yeah.
To see what our scores are going to look like across all the teams.
Yeah. Okay. So when we add up all the scores, so we add up all the numbers that we just listed off, multiply that by 2, and that would be potentially out of 100.
Right.
There's one additional point that we're giving. We're giving each team a point whenever they contribute a score to the scoring system, and so the Team Motosurf scored our first adventure, a cold drink of water, so they get a point for that. So adding up all their scores, multiplying by 2, and adding 1 point, their score came out to a 60.48.
Yeah.
So just kind of right around average.
That's right around average,
yeah. All right. So then with reference to our first episode, the Amethyst Avengers total score was a 65.22, and they get a +1 because they also scored, so they're 66.22. So in the tally of things, Amethyst Avengers are on top so far.
So far, out of our two matches, yeah.
I think one thing I wanted to go back and to just kind of like, I was looking at comparing the 2 scores. I think it was the objective stuff that really hit hard for Team Motosurf.
Yes.
With their whereas contrary, their subjective scores were all high. They were higher than the Amethyst Avengers, but it was the objective part that brought them down. So interesting mix this time.
I do appreciate that there is the ability to not have just the objective, because again, if we were looking at this and just having the objective, that that misses the whole.
Misses the point. Our show may miss the point of Dungeons and Dragons anyway, but I think it even more so misses it if you are only looking at the objective stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, like you said, one of the things that we want to do is want to make sure that we always have really good things really good metrics that we're basing our scores off of. If we find that something doesn't work in a tier 1 of play, which is the first 5 battles are levels 1 through 5,
right,
we can switch it, but we can't switch it in the middle.
Yeah, we can't, right? Because it's not the same.
Because it's not. Yeah, it's not the same.
I think the biggest thing I'm getting out of this is that, like, I'm learning more about the game and seeing, like, in coming up these scores initially, and then like thinking about how they match gameplay, I'm learning a lot about how the game works.
Yeah, I'm biased because I'm one of the hosts of the show. I love that there is a place that we can have this sort of discussion of how this sort of falls out in an actual battle, not a theoretical one, not a if X, Y, and Z happens, but like this is the battle, and like let's here are some criteria for measurement.
Right.
Let's see how the people do. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it, right?
Yeah. That's
okay.
it.
So we still got one more show coming up in this cycle, I think, and then we're going to be on to our third battle. But that's third battle. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.